Hello everybody, GL1 here, and I am here with my Buzz Lightyear Hyperspeed collection, and I think I have all of the small ships that go with that, and then I have some other things to show you to compare with. So, we can start here with Buzz Lightyear's ship here, the XL 15, and I can only assume this is the 15th try at making an advanced ship. But I really think what's cool about these is all the different designs, and you can even see how they're derivative of each other. How, you can start with one design and sort of morph it into something else that's different but similar. And this is the only one that comes with the Buzz Lightyear figure, actually. There's other guys in the ships that are not Buzz. And what's great about these is that they're so small and their limbs move individually. So that's pretty good, because usually things that small, what they have is the legs all move at once or the arms move at once. So that's kind of a neat, additional feature you get on that. And I have these in numerical order, so you can kind of even see if you were designing a fleet of spaceships, how you might go from one to the other. Boy, he's not giving me a good, easy time of getting back in there, is he? There we go. All right. So the other thing is that this Buzz Lightyear is actually bigger than the other figures, so he doesn't always fit in the other ships. All the other ones are a little smaller. But this is the first. This is the XL01. And kind of got more of a raw look. You have these engine parts showing. In the back, you have 4 engines. And all of them have landing gear that goes up and down. And it all pretty much works the same way. The other thing they have is they have a piece here that is something that would take in a ball joint. So if you have like a stand, you could put it on a stand and it would rotate around and you could put it at different angles. I haven't seen a stand for them. They didn't come with one. Maybe they had intended to do that, but I'm thinking of making a stand for that. And the other thing I note on all of these is that they really don't have any weapons. That might be a weapon, but that also might be an antenna. Those could be lasers. But nothing real obvious. So I think that's, just something to take note of. And then you get to the next ship, the O2, and that also has 4 engines. So you still have the similar design. You have the 2 large engines and 2 smaller ones. This one obviously has just bigger engines all the way around. But it looks as if, they would be trying different designs to see which one might be better at maneuverability. And then they go with this design here, almost like more of a X-Wing fighter style, just with the 1 large engine in the back and then a little bit of like retro rockets on the sides, maybe for steering it for quick maneuvering. And then that was number 3. And then I don't know what happened to 4 and 5, but we go all the way to 6. And again, they stayed with the large engine design and the 2 on the side. And it's as if the engineers who would make these ships, if they were real, weren't done perfecting that design. They were thinking like, well, maybe, we can still get more out of that design. And then they thought, maybe it's like they thought, well, I think we need something that's a little heftier, a little more armored. So maybe if it gets too close to another ship, like, Zerg Ship, it would hit it and bounce off. It wouldn't be completely damaged. And so you still have the 1 big jet design there. And I can only assume that these are somehow smaller jets to help it steer in space. Remember, these are all spaceships, so they might be capable of flying in an atmosphere, but their wings on some of them may not really be, they're not like airplanes where the wings are a significant portion of the vehicle. So they would steer in an atmosphere primarily through just having so much power in their engines. Now this has, more of a wing, so it might actually be able to glide. And here, I like this one a lot. This is number 12, and I think it's a really neat, aggressive design. It's as if, okay, well, we still like having a little bit of the guard on the side for bumping into things, but we're going to go to 2 smaller engines on the sides. It's a lighter vehicle. We'll improve those engines in there, but it's not as heavy of a vehicle, so it doesn't need to have as large of engines on there. And so it's almost like that's to me what they might have been thinking. And then we go, well, back to the old drawing board. Let's just completely redesign the vehicle, and we're going to go back to the big engine in the back. We're going to give it more wings, and I guess these again might have the retro rockets to help steer. And there you got your little blue fella that goes in there. Now, there might be names of these characters. I really don't know. But, I'm not really that interested in the movie. But I'll probably see it eventually. And then Buzz's ship. So Buzz's ship, you'll note, is the lightest of them all. It's definitely a smaller design. Mrs. GL1 thought it was the most aggressive looking one. I don't know. They both, this one looks pretty aggressive, the first one. And then I think this one's pretty aggressive looking, but maybe this is a meaner looking ship for Buzz. What's nice about it, if you were thinking about design, is that it is the lightest one, and it has 2 really large engines in proportion to its size. So you could see how this might actually be the best performing ship. The wings are pretty significant in comparison to its size, so it might actually have better atmospheric capability for handling. And then we can go to the Armadillo, the Buzz Lightyear Armadillo, and this came with his friend Alicia Hawthorne, which represented by this little figure here. And again, you see the arm can move individually, the legs can move individually, so that's pretty neat. And the Armadillo, you can turn it around to the back. These wings flare out, and so do these. They go up and down. And it has a landing gear that's different. It's more like skis. You go in and out like that. So this is not really built so much to be an attack ship. Is that some kind of laser, or is that some sort of communication device? Either one, I suppose. But it comes with, this is like a big laser, right, that came with this that you would mount to the back. Backwards. And you would mount that, and then, your little character, if you were being chased by the evil Emperor Zerg's ship, right, you would fire out the back. But I thought, wouldn't it be great if this could mount forward on it, so that it could actually also attack? So I got a drill bit that was, I matched it with this size here, and then I drilled a hole right there, and I made it so that you can mount it up on there. So customizing my toy my way, right? And you can put 2 people in this, so you can have Buzz there and Alicia in the back. And so that is the good guy collection, right? And then you have Zerg over here. You have Zerg Ship, and this has landing gear as well, so that clicks in like that, and these click down like that. And the landing gear, they're alien looking, right? They're just like spikes, and they're not friendly looking. And then you have, big jets in the back. Nice paint on there, instead of just gray like on these guys, right? They could have painted some orange or something inside there, but they didn't. And it comes with Zerg. So, and Zerg can sit inside there. And you push these and it fires those missiles. So the Armadillo fires that big yellow missile, and then this fires the double green missiles. Now, making Zerg, they gave him an extra articulation. So, he can move all his limbs just like the others. But because he's larger, they made it so you can turn his head. And it's a soft, squishy plastic. So it's, kind of like a hard rubber, but it's a plastic. All right. And there's these guys here that come. These are Zerg's buddies. Right? And they come inside these pods. And this is the one with the button that you push the button and it opens, and then they can come off, and they have little pegs for their feet, and it has a larger peg for one foot and a smaller for the other, so you make sure you put them the right way so it can close on him. So because if you had him just randomly in there, it might not fit in there very well. And he doesn't have a head that turns, but all the limbs work individually. And then you have Zerg's mothership. Got this big ship here, and this is really cool. And that came with an exclusive one of these drones. And it's different because the plastic is different. You see how it's a little bit shinier and almost translucent. It has a little bit of a translucent effect to it. So that came especially with this ship. No Zerg. And you can sit your figures inside here. And you have another bay over here. And this is one of the cool things, is that you have a handle so you can fly it around. And then you have your landing gear in the front. There you go, there. That snaps out like that. And here's the bottom. Everything is aggressive looking on Zerg Ship. It's really neat. Takes batteries. You'll see why. There's a big speaker there. But before I show you that, you can push these buttons and a bay opens. Now, that's an empty bay on that one. Let me show you that again. All right. And then on this side, you open it and then one of the pods drops out. And you just close those back up. And so inside your pod, you can put one of those drones in there. Okay, now, when putting the pods in, they do have to be oriented a particular way, in case you were wondering that. Otherwise, they won't fit in there. So you have to fit it in. See, if you fit it like that, it's not going to close. So it has to fit so that those are on the side, and then it'll snap shut. Just a little detail. But I think the most exciting thing is look at all those engines, all those jets, right? And watch this. And they all light up, huh? Hours and hours of fun, right? So this is a really cool ship, and you had to put it together. These snapped onto the front, and then you had to snap on all these spiky things. These all snapped on so that it fit in a smaller box. But it is a nice ship. It looks good, and it can be fun to play with your adventures with it. Now, the Zerg figure here this ship's too big. He's out of scale. I mean, you can stick him in the bay, right? Just like this guy. The only thing is, well, this is how I always look at everything. These are your windows. So the Zerg figure should be able to look through the window. He should be really tiny, right? So that's too big. So what I do is then you have Zerg Ship like this, and this is to scale with this. So if you wanted to see, whatever figure would be able to sit in there would be just a little bit too big, I think, to accommodate looking through that window, but close enough, right? So that's closer to scale. And then you have, the XL1 and the XL15, all right, that I suppose can either be attacking or running away from Zerg's mothership. And so you can play with your adventure all together like that. And I brought out some other figures that you could, as a sample as to how you could play with these toys because, for scale purposes, I mean, here is Alicia Hawthorne, and not that out of scale with, Chewbacca and Darth Vader. So you could play with them together. You have Picard, Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek The Next Generation. These are micro machines. I don't know what this went to. I think I just found this someday on the ground. And see how it's got the thing where you move one arm and they both move. And the same thing with the legs. In fact, I think Picard is like that. Let me see. I know the legs are because it's together. But yeah, his arms also move together. So inside there's just like one axle going through the chest. This is the newer, it's still the newer Chewbacca, but it still does that. It's still, everything moves together. And let's see, this is an older Darth Vader. This goes to the Transformer, Star Wars Transformers. Actually, I have several of those. They haven't been featured on the show yet, but this Darth Vader goes to that. And what I do have, though, and I wish I had more of them, is Pink Power Ranger, and her head turns, and her arms move and individually, but her legs don't move at all. But that's okay. You don't really need the legs to move, but it's cool to have the arms that move individually. And Legions of Power, if you remember one of my shows on Legions of Power, this is a 1980s toy, and it's got like rubbery legs and rubbery arms. See how they stretch? But they all move individually. The head doesn't turn. But you can see like they're kind of Buzz Lightyear scale, right? I mean, that, it's a big robot, so it could be definitely that size. And compare them with that. And, might get a bunch of these together and they might take on Zerg, right? And this is one of those ships from Legions of Power. So, the way Legions of Power worked is that everything comes apart and you can make your own ships. You can make like walking ships and all kinds of, this is a glow-in-the-dark piece, jets, they have satellites and little lasers and all kinds of things. And then your Legions of Power guy sits inside there. So it's kind of nice to have all these different toys, right, to be able to compare them and see how similar they are. And, if you had all these things, you could play with them together. So, I have one more thing, a surprise to show you. And this is the Buzz Lightyear drone. And so you have your exclusive Buzz Lightyear figure that comes with that, and a drone, and obviously it's not flying today. That will be featured on another show. And on Amazon, I was able to get this for $15. It was half price. It's made by Hot Wheels. And my experience has been very good with Hot Wheels radio-controlled vehicles. I think they do a good job. I think it's just more, Hot Wheels, if they're going to put out something that's radio controlled, they're going to do a good job because they don't do a lot of it. But when they do, I think that's, really something that they put an effort into. You can see your Buzz Lightyear clicks into there. And we will experiment with that and see how well that works. So thanks for watching. I look forward to talking to you again. GL1 with the XL1 out.